Watched exciting game here. Jays go down by 8. 1 second here. Turn that off. Get a little feedback there. Jays go down 83-75. Tremendous comeback. I know Austin might disagree with me there, but tremendous comeback. Down 17. I mean, I was looking like, whew, we could get run out of the gym here.
Yeah.
Mac was kind of letting him play through it for a little bit like he does, and then finally called the timeout, and we kind of came back a little bit, and then we went on a big run again, and I thought, oh, boy. But a couple things happened that we're going to talk about here in a second. But first of all, thanks for joining us. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe, because if you don't subscribe, you can't join in the chat down below where people are going to put in their thoughts, questions, comments, what have you, and we'll read them on the air. So if you're not a subscriber, do that right now, and in 5 minutes you'll be able to hit the chat button and chat along with all the other listeners here tonight. I want to thank our sponsors, Care Minders Home Health Care and Discount Window and Door of Omaha. Well, I said, Alabama, that was like, if you have never watched Alabama play, that's them right there.
No.
At times they look like easily the best team in the country. Then at times they look like a very good team, definitely a Sweet 16 team. And then other times you're like, man, maybe a tournament team, but they kind of give things away. And that's what happens to them when they play really elite teams, is instead of being up 17, maybe they're only up 10, and then they play like they did for a good stretch of that second half, and then they get in trouble.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. And no right side, I think, hurts them too.
Oh, absolutely.
Find out rhythm,
absolutely.
Even
though who's the 5-star freshman that got to play tonight? He was injured. I'll get it in a minute. But anyway, he's a tremendous scorer. Yeah. He's a 5-star. I mean, McDonald's All-Americans. They have actually, I think 2 or 3 McDonald's All-Americans coming off the bench.
I believe, right? Yeah.
Crazy.
Right.
Crazy. But yeah, I mean that's who they are, and they're not elite defensively. I know they kind of bothered us with their length, especially in the first half. But I think once we got used to it and started playing a little bit, then you kind of saw, we got the ball in the caulk way better than we have in most games. Would you agree?
I would agree with. I think they were more or less allowing us to do that as well. But being on the road, was tough.
Oh,
I just think they were just kind of allowing Caulk to play a little bit. We didn't hit shots. We were, I think, 1-7 from 3, starting off early, and got ourselves in a bit of a drought. But, being able to close out the half, down under 10, I think was huge. Just definitely keep it close, right?
Was big time, and then they pulled it out to, I think 14 again, I want to say. And then we battled back and made a great run at the end. Thank you to Jackson McAndrew, who nailed, I think, 3 out of 4 threes there at the end, which got us down. Ashworth hit one, and all of a sudden, it was a 4-point game.
Jemai hit one as well.
Yeah, it was a 4-point game with 40 seconds left. So, you got to credit the guys, because down 17 on the road like that, and you got to remember, you got Ty Davis, you've got Jackson. Freshman, never played. This is the first true road game they've ever played in Division I college basketball. Then you've got Jason, who hasn't played many true road games. You kind of forget that. For a lot of the year last year, he didn't get a lot of minutes. I mean, he didn't play stretches at a true road, a hostile environment. Mm-hmm. Everybody remembers him in the UConn game, but obviously that was at home. Mm-hmm. And then even Isaac hasn't played that much crunch time basketball.
That's fair.
Okay?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So you add all that up for them to go into a hostile environment for the first time. Hey, this was kind of, that start was kind of expected to me.
I would say a little expected too, just missing pieces too as well, right? Not knowing who was all going to be on the court, not knowing who was going to play. I'm proud of the guys, definitely, to not just hang it up and finish it out a little bit strong, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, they they could have easily folded there. And I'm not saying give up because it was so early in the game, but when that wave starts coming, and I've seen that wave from Alabama before. I mean, they'll bury teams.
Yeah.
Absolutely bury teams. And then they can play like they did in parts of the second half because they're up by 30, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't notice maybe them losing the 30-point lead down at 20. But when it's 17 and all of a sudden it's 4, you notice that because it was puckering time there for Alabama a little bit. But hey, in the end, they've got Mark Sears hit that big 3, made some free throws, and that was the difference.
Yeah, that and being at home. They probably took the foot off the gas a little bit and got a little lax, and we're still a high-level team, at the end of the day. And I think, they kind of got a little lenient with us. And, yes, we were able to kind of find some open looks and start getting comfortable in shots. But it took us a while to get settled in. And, going forward, I think there's just going to be big experience for, as you said, Trout, Green, Miller, of course, and McAndrews, at the end of that. I think that's just going to be something to ride into, especially going into Big East, that finally seeing some go down that were big ones finally go down.
Absolutely.
That's my player to watch, honestly, over the next 2 weeks is McAndrews and just kind of seeing his growth.
Yeah, and, a couple points there. Number one, first half early on, you saw – he's a freshman. Right. He's got to get stronger if he's going to play the 4 in Division I college basketball because he was getting shoved around a little bit. Number two, you pointed it out during the game when we were watching the second half. When he rushes, you can tell he's one of those guys you can tell when he's going to make it. Kind of like early days of Kyle Korver. You could tell when Kyle was going to make one and when maybe he was just rushing it or forcing it just a little. Yeah. And those last ones he shot, he took his time.
Absolutely.
And knocked him
Feet
down.
Set, square.
Yep.
Didn't T-Rex arm it.
Yep.
So, he's, when he takes his time and actually shoots it, he still gets it off fast, but it's a matter of, not rushing it. Yeah. There's a lot of that. Being quick, but not rushing.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's, that's so true in a lot of sports. Mm-hmm. You got to, if things are going bad, you got to slow down.
Absolutely.
Slow down.
I call it that flow state, right? And as we said, you still got to mature a little bit, and I think some of this is games moving fast, and he'll finally kind of, I think over time, at the end of this year for sure, he'll probably be hitting a stride that I think it's promising.
Now, when you were a freshman, I'm sure you went through the same things, right?
Absolutely.
How did you know at the time you were maybe going too fast, or
always? I mean, being a fast and a quick player, anyways, I was moving a little too fast already, but it wasn't until I'd honestly say my junior year to where I realized I could almost walk, right, and be still a little bit faster than defenses. But it takes a while, and it just takes some experience, and really being out there playing high caliber guys, playing, these different athletes that maybe you weren't playing night in, night out, that now every night, especially at the Big East level, and the schedule that Creighton's had over the first year, first tincture of the schedule has been a little pressure, and I think it's something for McAndrews and Ty Davis that is, I think they're going to show some promise for us, I think.
Yeah. Would it be fair to say, we always talk about when we go to media day in October and we talk to the freshmen, they go, "Oh my God, everything's so fast." Right. Would it be fair to say what you were talking about? Would it be the game slowing down a little bit? Was that fair too? Absolutely. Besides you slowing down, the game is slowing down a little?
The game slows down, but it's more or less you slow down and have understanding, right? The game's still the same speed, right?
It just seems like it slows down.
You get into that flow state that everybody kind of speaks about, right? Yeah. You finally get into the space of being comfortable in self, right? And I think a lot of that too is not really understanding his full role yet, being comfortable in the shots that he needs to take. And also, like you said, he's still got to put a little bit of weight on. So being able to, at times, being able to put it on the floor like maybe he did in high school and feel comfortable off the bounce. But some of that just comes with experience. And I just think more reps that he has, the better he's going to be.
Yeah. And another thing you brought up, too, was that, he's got to put weight on. Okay, he's not going to do that now. Right. He's got to do that in the offseason. Right. But there are things as a freshman to learn about leverage, positioning, footwork that can help him in some. Like I remember the one time when the guy was just taking it at him and he's backpedaling like crazy. You know, that's just something that happened way out 20 feet away from the basket that he needs to change.
Absolutely. You know,
and learn. You know,
if he's watching this or does get this, I would say he needs to go watch clips of Doug. Doug wasn't the greatest defensive player, you know, especially as a freshman either. But he put the effort in, right? And he really wanted to, and I think he worked really effortlessly hard at it. That at times, you know, maybe it didn't look like great defense, but Doug put in all that he could, and that guy ended up missing. You know, at times that over time, you know, you'll start building the confidence that you can guard this 4, you can guard a 3 at times, you can do what you need to, and start feeling comfortable on the offensive side.
Let's be fair. Even as a senior, when a guy was going for a layup, we can't get you in foul trouble. I'll just let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. Go down the other end.
Absolutely.
He scores 2, go down the other end and score 3. We gained a point.
Matchups are different, too, so he wouldn't even be guarding that guy that, you know, could potentially put him in that trouble. But
and to be fair for you, it was like, okay, I'm a junior now. I realize get the ball to number 3 if the good things are going to happen. And if not, set a screen and get that lumberjack guy open, and he might knock one down.
You know, it was more for getting downhill, you know, creating it. You know, I had to collapse the D, and then all of a sudden, of course, that would be wide open for.
I hate to just burst your bubble after blowing your bubble big, but I was telling you, I was talking to these kids who are like juniors at Creighton. I said, well, who do you do the show with? I go, Austin Chapman. They're like, who?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. You do not know who Austin Chapman? I'm like,
no. They don't need to. They don't need
No. They do. They need to get in the record book and look at the guy. One of the top point guards in our history. You are.
That's fair. I like to fly under the radar though, and then
maybe
one day
they need to, they need to look that up a little bit.
I didn't know you went there.
So the chat tonight is working, by the way. But again, you got to be a subscriber. We got to see you. Jays fans already chatted when we were talking about. He brought up John Wooden, who always had the quote, "Be quick, but don't hurry."
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us again. Hit that subscribe button so much. It helps us so much, I should say. We're going to right now just break down some of our sponsors tonight before we get into some of our features. CareMinders Home Health Care. This is the second year they've been with us. We appreciate Jim and everybody over there at CareMinders for sponsoring our show. And, anytime you are in need of care for your injured or ill loved one, reach out to CareMinders Home Health Care. Their agency is comprised of certified caregivers who have many years of experience. You will receive versatile, flexible, and customized care for your comfort, peace of mind, and well-being. So give them a call today, 402-532-1383. Or better yet, take this advice. Go to caremindersnebraska.com. Look at everything they have to offer. You know, you get time over the holidays. You're sitting around. You got relatives in, and you're half listening to them, you're half not, right? So go on your phone, hit caremindersnebraska.com and kind of go, when Uncle Joe needs some care here later on in life, let me see what they offer so I know when that time comes, we can help him out and help your whole family out and give you peace of mind. So that's caremindersnebraska.com. Let's just kind of go down the lineup a little bit. I thought Stephen played, for the most part, terrific basketball. Again, you pointed out too, maybe he missed getting the ball inside to call it time. Now he hears it from the coaches. Hey, you got to get that ball in there. Get it in there. Get it in there. So he makes some passes where against his better judgment.
Yeah, I would say that's just against his will at times. But just being the point guard, right, and trying to get the guys, some touches where Calk is a high caliber player, so we got to give him a little more touches at times. But played well, only sat out 1 minute, so played 39 out of 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So
I think the ankle's okay. And guarded Sears too. And I, for the most part, I thought he did a pretty good job guarding
decent. He got the upper hand. Had 7 more than him.
Well, Sears is just really good, man. He's first team All-American. I mean, he's just really good.
Yeah. But tough game, really at the end of the day. And I won't say Ashworth's ankle is ready, ready for that action yet. But I think he did a great job.
I mean, because Ashworth's not. physically probably the guy that's we got a scrum here in the NBA game. He's probably not the physically quickest guy in the world to be able to guard a guy like Sears. Yeah. And plus, let's face it, it's not all Ashworth. They're running him off a ton of screens.
Absolutely.
And everybody's got to be on the same page. Absolutely. And we know one time tonight, Jemiah was, went, I think, over, and he should have gone under and left the guy wide open. You just can't do that against Alabama because they will make you pay.
Yep. And I think, like I said, they won, 33 out of 35 of their last home game. So,
that's a good point.
It's just kind of somewhere tough. That's just going to be a tough place to win.
I mean, they were. This is an incredible, the stat of the night right here. What do you think they shot from three? Don't look. What do you think Alabama shot from three?
50+%.
Get this. They were 6 of 30.
Oh. I know we were like 26 or something.
Didn't it seem like they made way more than that?
Yeah, but on their home court, and they were probably just a lot louder, so it felt bigger than that. Definitely, they were putting up in bunches though.
Yeah, they shot 20% from three.
And I know they got a lot of second chances that generally would end off of a three.
I'll guarantee you, Mac better than anybody. I'll guarantee you that was the game plan. Let's not. If they're going to hit that 15-footer, we'll live with that. Yep. But we're not going to let them stand out there all night long because down in Vegas, I was at the championship game with Alabama and Oregon. And Oregon's very athletic, very similar to Alabama. But yet, because of their offensive flow and how good offensively they are, they give up a ton of threes. And these guys just one after another. And what was frustrating, I know, to Oregon, even though Oregon ended up winning the game, was the 7th, 8th, 9th guy off the bench was coming down and just draining one after another. So I'm sure Mac was like, look, we cannot let them hit threes, let's force them in. And that's, I mean, what did
playing analytics, yeah, definitely.
What did I was going to say what Sears so Sears from the free throw, Sears made 7 from the free throw line. And I think he's second in the SEC in free throws made.
Okay.
So he's getting to the line a lot.
Okay.
And that's just what he does.
Right.
He's got that little mid-range game too. He can go in.
Right.
I thought he did a terrific job. Yep. 4 assists tonight. Only had 1 turnover, so 4-1. Yeah. But you say 27 points. You're like, I didn't think he killed us as much as the second chance.
No, absolutely not. It was all second chance. As you said, you thought they hit more threes, and I think a lot of those threes came off second chance points. Where you're getting 2-3 different rebounds. Offensive
rebounds. Alabama had 15 offenses to 4 for us.
Yep.
That's 11 possessions, extra possessions you gave them.
It's killer.
And I would venture to guess they probably made 50% of those.
Definitely.
You lose an 8-point game, that's 5, that's 10 points. There it is right there.
There's a clear one, I think, in the first half where they got 3 or so different rebounds. I think Sears got 2 to 3 himself.
Yeah, there was a possession where I think they had 4 shots.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, like you said, that's toughness at the end of the day.
And some were the fact that, we've got some freshmen out there, and we've got some guys who aren't as big as they are physically big, okay? There's some of that. But then some was just, they shot threes in the ball, and like they missed 24, okay?
Right.
And some of those threes just bounce long.
Yep. So, we can't make excuses for them. You got to find a body. You got to find the ball.
Well,
really, at the end of the day.
I mentioned to somebody as that was going on, I watched A&M today. A&M just, same thing happens to A&M, but they seem to go out and get that basketball.
Yep.
And like you and I talked about earlier, sounds like we had a lot of conversations. We did. Rebounding is like 75%. Just who wants the ball more?
It's toughness.
Who wants the ball more?
You have to will it.
I'll tell you a little old time story here. Dave Shellhouse. The school I went to is Morehead State up in Minnesota.
Okay.
Dave Shellhouse was our head coach. He was 3-time All-Big Ten, 1-time All-American at Purdue. Played at Purdue. He was 6'5". Okay, now back in the day, 6'5" was probably big for a 4, okay? Or average size. Okay, now, he'd have to be a guard, right? But he said, hey, I'm 6'5". I'm still not the biggest guy in the world. But he goes, when that ball went up He goes, here was my thought. People ask me, how did you get so many rebounds? Here's my thought process. I went up there and said, I need to get this rebound because if I don't, I want to lead the team in rebounding. And if I don't get it, one of my teammates is going to get it.
Yep.
That's how good a rebounding team we were.
Yep.
So I knew I had to get it.
Yep.
I had to get that ball. And that's all I focused on. I didn't, sure, I boxed out, but there's technique involved. But in the end, I had to get that basketball.
That's fair.
And that's what you've just got to say when that ball goes up. I don't care where that ball goes. Doug is a perfect example.
Doug's prime example. Larry
Doug
Bird.
wasn't like going above the rim to snatch rebounds.
Doug and Larry Bird.
Doug looked at the ball and go, oh, that's a corner shot, so the ball's going to come over here. So I'm going to go over here and grab it when it hits the rim.
Understood angles.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Were you kind of amazed when you played with him? Like sometimes how many rebounds he got where he just...
I wouldn't say
just
that.
like,
it's just
he was just in the right place at the right time, but there was a plan behind it.
He could read the ball,
Yeah.
right? So if he knew he hit you on this side and he knew where the ball was coming from, that he was going to bounce off this right side of the rim and it was potentially going to the left. It was just a lot of that, and he was just a heady player, and I think we had a lot of those anyways. But being able to actually just have, those smarts behind you, I think it helps a lot, and I think that's something McAndrews really
Coach's
needs to go
kid.
and just watch some film on, honestly.
Yep.
And it's like Doug wasn't the strongest. He, couldn't jump out the gym. Wasn't extremely athletic in those regards. So, but honestly led league in rebounding a lot of years, right? And had, you name it, however many double-doubles that he had. But it wasn't always just boxing the guy up, right? You got to hit the body, and like you said, you have to get the ball. You could still be boxing the guy out, and he could still end up with the ball somehow. So a lot of that too.
And you can be boxed out and still get the ball,
right? Right.
By tipping it,
Absolutely.
by going around the guy,
Absolutely.
by looking where the ball's going to go, all that kind of thing. I think I said to Doug once, I said, I know why you're a good rebounder. He says, why is that? I go, because you wanted to go play offense. He goes,
or he wanted the second chance.
And he said, you know what? There's probably more truth than fiction in that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
But we got some chats going here. BJ said Green had some good action tonight. He did.
Yeah,
he came out and gave us some great energy.
6 minutes or so.
And now that's 2 games in a row we've seen that from him. So that's a positive. You got to look for positives in here. And look, people, I told people this during the last week. I said, beginning of the season, if I'd have said to you, we're going to go 1-1, Kansas and Alabama, I think we all would have been, all right, that's cool. Yeah, that's good. That's what we want, right?
I don't know. It's kind of like
27-3 guy.
No, it's just kind of like Mitch last the storming of the court, right? Being the number one, where we were preseason top 15, and it's like that's expectation, right, from Mac's side. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like if we were healthy and we had the people that we had,
we don't. Isaacs,
which we don't.
Pop is
right?
gone,
and so
that's gone. So we have this team
in
now.
that with this team. Yes, I feel good with the 1-1, but. At the beginning of the year,
if your expectation was you were going to win at Alabama and beat Kansas, then your expectation was you were going to go undefeated in the non-conference.
If we have Pop today,
that's pretty high.
I wouldn't say that, but if we have Pop today and we have,
considering you played A&M
Fedor,
in the tournament, San Diego State in the tournament, I mean that's
yeah, I hear you.
I mean, you're going to lose some. You're not going to win them all.
Well,
it's just like in the NFL, like teams have a 3-game homestand. They go, oh, we'll win all those. No, it rarely happens where you go through a 3-game and win them all.
I know.
You're just going to lose one. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And it's
so
on the road
anyway,
that's
neither here nor there. But I think most people would have been happy.
I hear you
with a split here. What they weren't happy with is losing Nebraska. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah,
because they're still hurt.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you saw.
Well, we hear it every day.
We're doing the post game for Kansas, and John Fanta. The next day, I saw this. John Fanta tweeted out something like, "Man, you don't want to go to Omaha. When you're a highly ranked team, you don't want to go there." And a Blue Jay fan first answered him and said, "John, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. We're going to get bombarded." And sure enough, it was just Nebraska fans all the way down going, well, I think somebody won there,
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Rabbit hole.
So anyway, didn't want to lose that one. San Diego State just, for whatever reason, just has our number, man. We just lose to them. The game I was just
San Diego State though. I have not. We went to their home
place. You guys went to
place.
their home down 18. Down 18.
Yep. And that's top. That's
and then
top
you went
3.
in the locker room and you go.
That's one of the best games I've ever been a part of.
You did the chant, right? Their chant, like we
believe.
Yeah. A&M, like when we're looking. So let's just look at the non-conference 7-4. I'm looking at it going. The one game I think we should have had was A&M because we controlled that game for 58.5 minutes.
That's tough, you know.
And again, we
Ashworth
had young guys out on the
right. He was kind of playing off the
young guys out on the court who
Yep.
maybe didn't know exactly how to win yet. You know?
Absolutely. That was a tough one. And I just think that built some resolve for some of these Big East games where we're going to need that experience. This early in this season, right? For the McAndrews, the Ties, and Green as well. And even Trout, you know, I think some of this slump that he's in is gonna get out of this. Like he's in a deep trough right now.
I was hoping we'd get some carryover.
He's in a deep one
tonight.
Right now.
I mean, tonight some of those shots didn't look good.
They didn't. And
again, you could tell he was rushing some of them, like you said.
He's pressing.
And you said that about Jackson.
Yep,
he's rushing them.
He's pressing.
And then at the end, you said, see, he took his time there, and then he took his time on the next shot, and he took his time on the next shot, went in and out. Then he took his time on the next one, made it.
Yep.
Like he just and got fouled.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it's like if you don't take your time, well.
So let's keep going on the chat. By the way, if you're on YouTube, go to the bottom, hit the chat. If you're not a subscriber, you got to subscribe to get on the chat. So subscribe first, and then you can chat away. We got a good showing tonight. Andrew says Mason Miller, man. 100% liability in his third year. I would have said that a few games, but I thought tonight he was okay. He didn't blow you away.
You know,
I'm just saying.
He's got a lot to live up to.
That's being nice. It's okay.
He's got a lot to live up to. That's all. You know,
he's
got
just
a lot
in
to live
a
up to.
horrendous shooting.
His dad's a perennial shooter, right? And that's a large task.
Would they say shoot 16%?
That's a large task, you know, and even went 0 for today, and that's tough, right?
But
and
even so, I don't even think it's like the shooting that bothers me so much. Like he used to swoop in and get those loose balls. That's what we need right now.
It's his confidence, right? And I think he doesn't really know where he stands as far as the team goes, what his actual role is. He's been moving from the 3
broadcast
to the 4.
tonight. He's getting adjusted to 3 a little bit, but that's basically on the defensive and offensive end. You know, our offense is pretty much
but it isn't because even, you know, the 3 and the 4 have different roles when it comes to crashing, right? Offensively, and generally, if you're a 3, you're kind of getting to the half court, you're getting to the free throw line, you're not really getting all the way to the rim.
And you see him out there half court a lot on those shots.
So I think he's just kind of everything's kind of swarming right now, and he's looking again like it's a freshman, and it's like I was getting comfortable, and now I'm uncomfortable.
It doesn't seem. It seemed like the last game was probably the only game we had those 4s. That combination. Jackson didn't do much last game. He hurt his ankle, but I mean he didn't do much the last game. But the last game we at least had 3 of the 4 really contributing a lot.
Absolutely,
you know.
Absolutely.
So we got to get, and it'd be unreal to expect all 4 contributing a lot every game. Okay, because there's just not room for that. But we need like 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
Like the Fresno. I keep saying Fresno. UNLV game. We need 3 of the 4. All right. Then we got Brian J. says, how does Mac manage not having a dependable second ball handler?
Yeah. You know, that's a tough question for me. I played 38-plus minutes myself, so that's a tough question because at the end of the day, Mac keeps a short lineup.
Yeah. It's short. Now we're getting to conference season and watch that lineup
short. It's only going to get shorter, right? Yep. It's only going to shorten up a little bit. And we're losing pieces, right? So it's tough to actually try to find a second ball handler when necessarily I don't know if we can put all our trust in Jemiah making all the plays all the time because he has to slow down a little bit. So, you know, that's real tough. That's real tough role right now. Ashworth just kind of has to do a lot. He is doing a lot for us, and maybe you need to play one more minute.
Well,
but I like Shane. I will say that. I do like Shane. So for
Shane
spot
comes
minutes,
in. Yeah, Shane
maybe
comes in.
There
Gives
needs to
some
be a little more
physicality.
spot minutes where he is kind of handling. allowing Ashworth to come more off the Klay Thompson floppy screens, coming out off the bottom. Now actually getting chances to shoot actual, set
We're
shots.
kind of using Shane for defensive purposes now,
right.
which is fine. I'll say this about Ty. The one thing I'm not, Ty turns it over once every game where you're like, oh, God, that was a freshman turnover. He did it again tonight that went out by half court. But other than that one a game that he has that he's got to clean up, I don't worry so much about his ball hand. Like when he was in there tonight in the first half, and this was by the way, this was a huge game for him. He's from Alabama. When I talked to him in October, that's all he could talk about was playing at Alabama. This was big for him. Okay. So, hey, that adds a whole realm of stuff. Okay. But my issue is we can't go long-term with him because we don't get a lot of offensively. Like, he hasn't knocked down any shots.
Right.
He hasn't really gotten to the rim much. So his duty is to kind of spell Ashworth of bringing that ball up, and I think he's okay with that.
I don't know, though, if I feel like that's you. I don't know if I feel comfortable 100% with his ball handling. I know he does have a little things going on with the hands right now, which is huge as a point guard. But as far as, like, handling the ball, right, at a very high level, especially, in the Big East and the SEC.
He hasn't been pressured
yet.
That's
right.
fair.
And I think some of that,
I'm just saying the regular take-up. And I don't think – see, here's the thing, though. That's, again, I'm not trying to make excuses here, but let's just review what we've done here over the past 5 games. We've played San Diego State.
Right.
We've played A&M. Mm-hmm. Okay, Notre Dame plays like us, so that didn't count, and we won that game, right? Played Kansas. Mm-hmm. Played UNLV team that had a very good guard in Dean Thomas.
Yep.
And then played Alabama. So we've played some high-level
absolutely
A teams and B some high-level guards.
Teams. Yep.
Okay? We're getting in the Big East. I'm not saying there's not good players in the Big East this year, but I'm just telling you people, the bottom half of this league from 5 down is not very good. Now, those teams can improve, okay? I understand Providence, Hopkins still coming back now, but they lost at home to St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure is very good. Like in my bracket Monday, they will probably be in my bracket. They're 9-1. They're not a bad team out of the A-10.
Yeah.
And we saw the A-10 tonight, Dayton beating Marquette, right?
Yep.
So they're okay, but there's you can't lose to an A-10 team at home. I'm sorry. You can't be Villanova and lose to some of the teams they've lost. Seton Hall, like I've said many times, I think they're going to be the worst team in the league. The team that's actually...
People could say the exact same about us in Nebraska, though. So it's kind of,
we but Nebraska's... People have Nebraska on the bubble, though. They have them right there. They don't have some of these teams that Providence, Seton Hall, Butler have lost
Big
to.
East is Big East at the end of the day.
Austin P, come on. At home. North Dakota State at home. Come on. Okay, that's a different story.
All right.
And then it's a rival. I will always excuse rival.
I'll give you that.
Xavier.
I'll give you that.
Xavier struggled this year because they lost their big man. Yeah. They're still trying to find their way.
Yeah.
They played Cincinnati, a 3-point game at Cincinnati. That's, you got to look at that and go, wow, that's, quote unquote win for Xavier to play. But it's a rivalry game. Those rivalry games, you got to throw everything out. You really do. Mm-hmm. You know that.
That's that. It is. Yeah, I hear you.
But I do think I'm talking like you're talking about, like we're talking about Ty.
Yeah.
I'm talking from a confidence standpoint.
Yeah.
We get into a team where maybe, their guards aren't on the Mark Sears level, okay?
Right.
All right?
Right.
Or Philman, is that was named tonight, the other guard, who's terrific tonight, by the way. Those, we're not going to play guards on that level.
Right.
Okay? So, we're not going to play guards on that level coming up here. We're playing Georgetown, Villanova. Georgetown, again, they beat Syracuse today. On the road, good job with it for them. But Syracuse not,
My only thing is bigger guards, right? And it's conference play. My conference play is always different.
It is.
It is always different.
You're absolutely right.
And
absolutely right.
I hear you. It just is what it is at the end of the day. And I don't know. Right now, I think we got a little bit of a tagline of being soft, and that's kind of going to be something of going in somebody's house regardless of their record.
Yeah.
They're going to try to punk us.
I think
that's going to happen, and whether we end up, getting a technical or throwing somebody on the floor, I think it's still going to happen night in and night out.
We talked about that a little bit, like, how many times did I say that? We just got to be tougher.
Got to.
That ball's right there. You got to grab that ball.
I feel like Gordy right now. I feel like Len Gordy.
Gordy's the best, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's still at practice, barking at people. It's
absolutely
awesome. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to be tougher.
You have to.
When you get two hands on the ball, it better be yours.
Yeah.
Like you can only one hand, I can understand you maybe don't get it, but two hands, you gotta grab that ball.
Gotta go and get it. And it has to be yours. And I think.
And a guy like I'm not, don't want to bash Kalkbrenner, but he's got to come away with more of those rebounds. He's probably missed his 2 or 3 games this year.
He does, but you also have to think too. He's probably getting boxed 2-3 by 2-3.
I understand.
Big. So then I think. In return, some of our players are thinking, since we do have this guy down there, right, who is this
we don't need to help
All-American, I don't need to go and try to crash, And so I think now we're getting caught in the fold.
I'm with you on that because now that you say that, I think of it real quickly in my mind. I think the one guy is Jemiah seems to always flow back even when Kalk's going for the ball and everybody else is heading down the floor.
Oh, well, I'm out. Yeah. And
now this game was a little different because in practice, I'll tell you what their goal was. Mac was they'd run back and Mac would go hold hands.
Yeah.
Like he wanted a 5 wide across. He didn't want Sears to penetrate past that line. Mm-hmm. And he goes, once everybody else comes down, then we'll scatter, but we just can't let them do it. I thought we did a good job of that. We kind of, I know it was a 150-plus game, but hey, the under-over was like in the 160s. So we did, for a good chunk of that game, slow it down a little bit, that they didn't get that quick break, which was good.
We're able to contain a little bit.
But I think one more point, and then we'll get to some more chats. The thing I'm wondering about, though, circling back to Ty. So as I was mentioning about these Big East teams we get into, that may give a guy like Ty a little more confidence.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
The experience is just going to be huge for him, right? Being a freshman regardless is just huge. Like, I even think Cooper Flagstaff, right, at Duke, we think he's kind of having, a little bit of struggles here and there, but it's just being a freshman and just getting used to the change of pace, and it just takes time.
I love this. I know a lot of Jays fans went down there. We got Ryan Grace chatted in twice. He goes, I was at the Bama game. Bama atmosphere is horrible. Gym was 75% full. I get that.
Football season right now.
It's football season, number one. Number two, school just got out.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sure people will come into our arena
next
next Saturday when we play Villanova and go, Villanova fans go, this thing's like, they say they have 18,000 here. It looks like there's about 10,000 here, But, yeah, you also have to cover your ears, Creighton fans. You got to understand, Creighton doesn't mean squat to Alabama. Yeah. Alabama's like if Auburn comes in or Kentucky or Villanova or Gonzaga, the big names in the business, UCLA, that's who they're going to come and show up for.
And I will say,
they're not going to. They saw Creighton with a 7-3. Have Creighton been 10-0? Oh yeah.
I will say too, they're keen sports fans, right? So they probably seen we've lost a couple of key individuals too. That was like, hey, well, this is a heady win, and there's probably no reason for us to even.
I was listening to John Bishop before the game, and he said, "Yeah, the good news is the students are not in full bore,
right?
Because they all left today because there was graduation." Hey, let's before we get some more chats, and thank you very much. And by the way, thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and you too can chat in. We got a bunch more to get to here, so go ahead. I want to talk about Discount Window and Door of Omaha. Fabulous sponsor this year. I want to thank John and the whole staff over there, Discount Window and Door. When it comes to enhancing your home's beauty, comfort, and energy efficiency, trust the expertise of the best window company in Omaha. That's Discount Window and Door of Omaha. They will go through the whole process with you. They'll bring in their salesperson who will sit down with you, a big book, tell you look at your windows, measure them, tell you exactly what they have that'll fit, what you can do, and then The installer will come in again and remeasure to make sure everything is right. And there's my house, the one on the left. And you can see I placed them with the beautiful white framed windows on the right. And it looks awesome. Matches my fence back there, Austin. Looks great. But they did a fabulous job. Install was, God, one afternoon and they were done. Nice. And then John himself came back because there was a little issue with it when they put the trim back on. He fixed it all up. It looks beautiful. Looks just like brand new. So great job. That's the kind of service you get when the head guy will come out just to double check and make sure everything's okay. So check them out today. That's Discount Window and Door of Omaha, 402-884-8989. Great time to put in windows. Like, we're going to have some nice weather here coming up, so that's a great time if you need some new ones. Discount Window and Door of Omaha. Well, let's jump back in the chat. We've had some great ones tonight. We were talking about the 4. It said, BJ says, it's time for Mac to choose 2, ride with them. I feel like none of them can get in a rhythm.
I like that.
Probably more
as a
fact
player,
than
I like
fiction
that
in
too.
that.
And I think Mac knows that as well, but
he's trying to figure out which 2 right
now. He's just trying to figure out the right 2. And as we see, we keep, changing different pieces. We keep losing our guards. So
this is a tough one this year. Usually I would say 100% agree with this, but it's a tough one this year because let's say right now you had to choose 2. And let's leave Mason out of it because he's kind of been shifted to the 3. Okay? If you had to choose 2 of those 3, you'd probably go with Jackson and Jason.
For sure.
And then Mac's going to sit there and go...
If you're talking production.
Mac's going to sit there and go, oh, man. The way Trout hits it in practice, the way he works.
That's what I mean.
He's got physicality. We're going to need that in the Big East. I can't just put him down and let him lose his confidence.
Yep. And
so that's where the problem lies, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, honestly. Trout just is tremendous at practice, and his physicality, too, is something that we're going to need.
And the last game we saw what he could do against UNLV.
Trout's physicality compared to McAndrew's physicality, right? But then, as far as the efficiency, it's a tough job right now. And I think, we're going to see some woes, but we're also going to see some players mature and grow, right? And I think we're going through some growing pains,
and we got
a lot of things right now.
Plus, just trust Mac.
Mac
will look for the right matchups as we go forward.
Absolutely.
When there's a more physical guy on there, then he'll put Trout in. When he knows Trout, the guy can't get by Trout. And then Trout can do it on the offensive end where that guy's got to come out and guard him or Trout's going to knock down threes.
Yep.
Jason, when you just want a beast out there, man, guarding a 3 or a 4. Mm-hmm. Either one. So we can flex that one.
Absolutely.
And then I think in the long term, if you're looking big picture long term, Jackson's the guy.
Definitely.
Yes. Does he have to get more rebounds? Yes. Does he have to box out better? Yes. Does he have to get a little quicker footwork-wise? Yes. But he, over the long term, is a guy.
Yep. And I just think, too, if you go back and look at Rocky's career, there were games that he didn't play too many minutes, just because of matchup situation things. And maybe he wasn't shooting at the greatest clip early on that, sometimes he didn't see the back end of a second half at times. So some of that just comes with the game. Some of that comes with the matchup, and I just think we're at some of this. Yeah, it sucks for Ashworth right now,
But the other thing, too, is like Rocky. That's a perfect example. Like with Rocky, the fortunate thing for Ethan was we really didn't have a big-time backup at the 5.
We didn't.
So we could move him to the 5, and all of a sudden we discovered, wow, this is one.
Yeah, this is great.
This is great. I know Mac would sit here and go, that's not how it was. I knew that one all along. I think part of it was like wow. This is one hell of an advantage.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah.
Now maybe we'll give it up on that end, but we'll give 2 there, but we're getting 3 on the other end, And so like we talked about Buzz Williams, that first game Marquette, they came his preseason favorite. Buzz was, oh my God, Buzz is the greatest coach of all time, and Buzz just looked like he'd never seen a team go small on him at the 5, and he was all upset about it because he couldn't play his big guy.
Yep.
And it's like, well, come on, dude. Make an adjustment, and a lot of teams could make an adjustment. So I'm not sure Trout's actually bigger than Ethan. He's about 2-3 inches bigger than Ethan, But the thing is, we've got a guy, Fred, who's, we commented earlier, playing pretty well the last 5-6 games.
And he's got confidence.
Tonight, I thought he gave us some good minutes in there.
He's trending upwards.
Yeah.
And I think just as far as his body language looks, he looks way better. I think, it was a large hit when Calk came back for him, right? Yeah. I think we all know that. But I think that it took him a little while to get out of his own woes and now finally just adjusting to his role. I think he's finally just falling in.
Now Fred's like, bring it on. I'm a stud next year. I'm all conference next year.
I think he's falling in line.
CUJ Sands posted again, you're right about toughness. I think the freshmen are starting to figure that out. Because Austin could probably talk about learning that adjustment. It's just toughness. Did you have to learn that coming from high school, AAU ball?
Didn't have to learn toughness. For me, it was more pace of play and slowing down. The game's faster, definitely, so you want to just keep moving at that fast pace. And like I said, just getting into that flow state, not trying to listen to all the hecklers and everybody in your ear, and now it's a lot. And
all the 25 assistant coaches yelling
and not
stuff
even
out.
Just that. It's just different nowadays, right? You don't just have those assistants. You got managers.
Right,
you got agents.
Like when Dana was here, he had like 2 or 3 assistants. That was it. Yeah. You've got graduate, you've got guys like Jahans and Mitch who are very knowledgeable. So it'd be.
And not even that,
it'd be easy to listen to those guys go,
They're not just listening to that, though. They got the NIL guys. They got their agents. They got the, so, it's at a different place.
No, I'm just talking during the game.
That's in the game, too, right? They're probably sitting sideline. You got these fans right on the court now. So it's a lot different to where players have to be in those 4 squares, right, and actually bond with those 5 guys on the court. Because those are the only guys who could actually win the game, at the end of the day. So some of that, too, is just experience, right? Being in some of these tough situations. A lot of these guys haven't been on road games like this before. And it just takes a little time, adjusting to speed, pace of play is huge, right? You can't just simulate that with practice. You can't simulate that with open gyms or even high school play. But night in, night out, especially, they're going to see it. Even if it is a Seton Hall, Tim, they're going to see it. Well, they're going to see it.
We got a team coming up, third game. We're going to take a little break after 2, but then New Year's Eve day, Richmond is now on St. John's, 6'6", point guard, remember? Now, we've shut him down for whatever reason. He hasn't been able to shoot against us. He hasn't been able to score against us. He is a little bit disruptive on the offensive or defensive end, but there's a big 6'6" point guard that's going to be – we're going to see we have to handle him again.
Absolutely, yeah.
John D'Angelo has a great question. He goes, what do you guys think about Jackson at the 3 instead of Mason? Go Jackson and Trout.
I like that. My thing is defensively, it's going to depend on matchups. That's a great point to bring up, but it's always a matchup play, right? This sport is built off matchups. That's why LeBron has been so great for so long, is because that's what he plays is matchups. And that's what Mac does, right? Like you go and you see where do we have an advantage, where's a disadvantage. I think a lot of times Jackson's not going to be able to guard a 3. Right?
Yeah.
So then
that's what I worry about.
And a lot of times generally the 3 is more or less the best player-ish on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we want to expose him at that length, right? And I think there was times where Doug could have potentially been guarding a 3, but he wasn't, because that would have put him out on an island at times. And
that guy's going to pump fake a 3, so you potentially get a foul there, and then drive by and potentially get another foul. You know what I mean?
Not even that. Yeah, now you're putting Calk in some bad positions. There you go. A lot of times, at way more than he should.
Yep.
And I just think as far as the team,
I'd be all for it except for that.
Yeah, it just kind of goes down that.
And maybe Mac will come up with something where he just goes, okay. Like the Rod get the 5 type thing, just go.
Yeah, just see
all
how
right,
it goes.
You know what? We're just gonna try it.
Yeah, I think that we'll see that one of these days.
But the problem is too, now we're getting into conference play, and typically in the Big East, think about the last 5 years teams in the Big East. That 3 guy could shoot it and was athletic on every stinking team.
That's what I mean. And whether they were, at the top or just at the bottom.
No chance of getting an all-conference honor. They were all that way.
But I feel like, too,
our first game is Georgetown. I get Georgetown's not very good, but I'll guarantee you they've got a 2 and a 3 that are going to be fairly quick.
Yep.
They're really young, but they're going to be fairly quick. They're going to be athletic, and they can shoot it a little bit.
And they probably hadn't played well all season, but when it's always the Blue Jays, you know, that guy somehow it's a historic night.
I mean, it would be tough for us to throw that in there. You know, it would be right now going into, you know, we get 4 days and we're going to be out in Georgetown.
It would. But, you know, roster's thin right now. So I think to that point, I think that is something that they definitely probably have already looked at for sure. To see, like, how do we fit all these guys on the court? I think we
brought that up actually earlier in the year. We weren't sure, like, how the dynamic, you know, when Pop was injured at the beginning of the year, we weren't sure how the whole dynamic was going to work anyway. And we thought, I remember having a discussion with Ross about that, like, well, maybe we can move Jackson. We don't know how he's going to be, but maybe we can move him to the 3. So, yeah, it's out there. Before we get to more chats, and again, thanks a lot for the chats. We love it. It helps our show so much. We like answering questions, getting thoughts just thrown into our heads for the first time, and like the Jackson 3 thing.
I will say, though, I will take Mason probably playing the 3 over Jackson today.
I would, too. I would, too. We just need, you know, and again, that's got to be something that just – I'm not sure Mason's totally over that leg yet. You know what I mean? I don't know that he 100% trusts it. You know, like when a guy comes back from a knee injury and they're like, God, it took me so long to get out of the thought of I better not cut here or that something will happen.
Yeah, I'll say that. But it's just confidence, right?
Yeah.
You go from playing somewhere you're comfortable, now you're actually asked to – you know, penetrate, get downhill a little bit, play make a little bit at times, being able to kind of bring the ball up the court at different times. It's a different role, you know, and somebody that was used to kind of hitting the basket, grabbing some extra boards, getting some easy ones, now knocking down the corner 3, now hitting one in transition. I think, too, that's kind of taking him, like we said, this rhythm right now for a lot of people is just it's out of whack.
Before we got a great question we got to get to in chat.
Okay.
Worst call of the night?
I'm going to have to go with the double 3s on both sides. So I think the Ashworth one, and then I forget who it was in Alabama, but it was about 2 minutes in the first half, where, you know, it was minimal contact. Of course,
for the
guy
foul.
kind of had to leg out. And
way too much of that in college basketball. Totally. Way too much.
And I think the first one we got, it was because we were on a drought of, like, you know, 0 for 8, and they were on this run. Refs kind of felt bad. Ashford got a light, you know, contact. They called it. He had all 3, but then Ashford, same thing. Goes down, barely taps the guy. Now he has one. You know, there was more of that makeup call. But here's
my issue. How long have we had the 3-point line? Probably 30 years now? 25?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay.
The first 25 years, I can probably count on one hand the number of guys that got fouled shooting 3. You have that many in a game now. Like, so something's got to stop. Now, maybe they were Josh Jones in it and fouling the guy shooting a 3, and they weren't calling it. Okay,
I will say volume's higher though.
True. That's very true. That's true. That's a fair point.
To our point, right? Like
guys are more threes. Plus guys are more athletic now than they were 25, 30 years ago. So the guys that thought there was no chance of blocking a 3 didn't get out there, and now they do. Okay?
Absolutely.
So maybe, there's some of that. But, I mean, it's just sticking the leg out. They need to stop calling that, and guys will stop sticking the leg out.
Well, I know
I listened to
there was a flopping thing a few years ago where, like, they were huge on that. But then you can't really dictate where somebody's body actually lands.
But we don't see – they went to that flopping rule, and that took away the flop. They just said John Higgins, I heard him talk one time, and he just goes, I just tell guys the next time you go in there, I don't care if the guy knocks you over. I'm not calling a foul.
Right.
So stop flopping.
Right.
Okay?
But he got out of hand too, though.
He goes, guess what? The guy didn't flop anymore.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And then when he didn't flop, I gave him the call if he got position. I just that sticking that leg out, that's supposed to be an offensive foul. And they need to start calling that.
They do, but like some of that is natural, right? Like somebody's body lean, somebody's fade,
I know,
somebody's actual.
Because now you're like, it comes
laying.
a judgment call. Well, he kind of stuck his leg out, but he really didn't.
And like somebody, that's just some people naturally have the fade to where their legs, And
you're gonna have to call it when you're at. You're gonna have to call it so the call's for the home team, because if you start calling that out for the away team in a conference game when the arena's packed, you're not going to get out of there alive.
Yeah.
You know
what
I mean?
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah, I don't like those. I just thought, for the most part, the Big East refs, O'Connell was one of them tonight. They were Big East refs, so it was fine. A little inconsistency. I thought Steven got bumped a couple times. They didn't call it. Then on the other end, they called it. And then there was a one inside where I thought we tied it up and they called a foul. And it's like, well, Alabama's been doing that all night long at Kalkbrenner. I mean, because there were some times I think Kalk was getting banged down there and they weren't calling it. So, I don't know. It wasn't horrible. It didn't decide the game. Let's put it that way.
Not at all. Not at all.
Unsung hero tonight, Jason Green.
Either Green or McAndrews. I'm high on the McAndrews train right now.
I know you are. But McAndrews actually,
really like the way he shot it.
McAndrews scored 14 points, though, didn't he?
16, I believe, right?
You are correct, Sal.
16.
5 of 8 from 3, which he was 3 of 4, so he was 2 of 4 before. Oh, so he was shooting all right. But his first couple were bad.
They were.
And then first 3, and then he knocked down a couple.
Because he was rushing them again. And I think as he saw Trout shot it over the basket, right? And
he only played 19. People are talking about the
19 minutes with 16
And Mason
points.
played 17. Right. See, I would have said, if you'd have told me how many Jackson played, I'd have said 25. How many Mason played, I'd have said 10.
Right. Jason Green played 26.
No. See, that's crazy when you're watching a game.
Right. And so,
see, I would have said he played 15 minutes tops.
It felt that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, McAndrews just kind of,
Trout played
it was
15.
loud.
I guess that's probably about right. And Fred King played 4. See, it seems to me Fred King was out there at least 6, 7, 8 minutes.
When he's there, man, he just makes some statement plays.
Yeah.
He just makes sure his imprint's on the game.
I want to get back to something you said earlier about minutes. You played 38 a game.
Right.
So, kind of somebody alluded to that in chat. Asher played 39.
Right.
Everyone's like, oh, wow, we can't play all these minutes. And Mac's done this for several years. It's not
several. He's done this since he got here.
Yeah.
He's done it
like
before
guys
he
have
got
played
here.
39 minutes. Be honest. Were there games where because you played 39 minutes, 38 minutes, 8 straight games, that you felt on that 9th game that it was too much?
No, but the body will tell you that. I think I had enough injuries that ran me through the ground. It kind of just speaks for itself. I don't think as a player you really
Did you feel it hindered your performance?
At times, but a lot of that times I was also guarding more or less the best player on the opposite end too.
But I'm just
generally I wouldn't say it hindered, but you could say that, especially if it's like you don't have the energy to maybe.
Would you have said, let me ask it this way. Do you think if you would have played only 32 minutes, you would have been better?
More productive. Yeah, absolutely. Efficiency would have been probably higher.
Then why do you think Mac does that? Because
Trust.
Jeremy's got the
trust level.
Jeremy's monitoring you guys every second.
Trust level, right? So a lot of that's trust, right? And I had a
he's saying, are you saying he doesn't trust the guy who could play that extra 3 or 4 minutes for you?
I
don't mean
my assist to turnover ratio was high, so it was like, well, I know even if this guy's tired, I know he's going to take care of the ball and still find a way to get it to, like I had all these shooters on the court, that it was like, well, I would take that any day.
To be fair, you could have 3 turnovers, though, and then just throw it to Doug 6 times, and your assist to turnover ratio would be way up there.
No, because you forget Grant was out here holding it a lot. Grant was holding on to it.
Go and say, Grant, clear out.
No, Grant was holding on to it a lot. Grant was holding on to a lot. But a lot of that is just, it's that trust level, too. And, defensively, I generally had to guard the best point or 2 that.
But,
then it was like,
Kalk's got to bang with some good centers.
Right.
Jackson's got to guard a good 4. But
you know what I'm saying. So then you got those individuals there. Now you're going to say, all right, Mason's not in the best state of mind. Trout's not in the best state of mind.
Jahans was guarding the 3.
Right.
What did he play? He had to play a lot of minutes, too, right?
Great amount of minutes, but we also had a lot of 2s at that time.
Yeah.
A lot of guards.
The other thing, too, you're thinking of, too, for instance, Grant never practiced.
Didn't practice.
He was over there in the sideline.
Didn't practice.
I remember going to practice once.
Good reasons, though.
Grant sat next to me. And he goes, this is it for you? He goes, yeah, I'm not practicing.
Yeah, how's it going? Yeah.
He goes, I'm 40 years old, Tim. I don't.
Yeah, he was drinking coffee at 5
So
o'clock.
Mac does manage it through practice too, and that's not to say our practices aren't incredibly.
I would say Jeremy does a better
level.
job of that.
Yeah.
Now, right. Like, and he's actually still making sure those guys are getting in the sweat and things that they do need, even if they aren't practicing.
Yeah.
So, like, being able to play these minutes, as we saw, Ashworth, if he had this bum ankle and still played 39 minutes, looked pretty damn good to be.
Because I'd been told up until this point, that's the first
100%.
time I'd heard that. I'd been told up until this point, wouldn't bother me at all. Because the theory I was told from the coaches, not from Mac, but from other coaches, that, well, these guys play AAU ball. They play 4 games a day.
Yeah, I would say that, though. This is a different level of game.
It's a lot more intense.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, at those times we were practicing.
That's like saying
we were practicing. I won't say we weren't practicing.
900 years old. I went and played 36 holes on Wednesday. Why should 18 wear me out in the member tournament? Well, because it's every shot is on the line, and you're thinking, and yeah. People don't understand that, but that's what it is.
There's a mental strain there too. Yeah, definitely.
But that's interesting. Okay,
it's exhausting. I will say.
So
over
let's
time,
see. Let's watch Ashworth. Maybe not even.
But my thing is,
quantitatively, it's hard on the defensive end for him because there's so much switches and stuff like that. But let's watch his 3-point percentage if he continues to play 38, 39 minutes.
That's fair. It's a great driver.
But again,
I like that.
If you play really well in the first 30, you can sit for the last 10. You're winning the game.
Right. Right. No, I understood. But some of that too just comes down to assistants, right? Hey, Mac, TV timed out is in a minute and a half. Send Shane. And I think a lot of times that happened with
Mac's really good at that.
No, a lot of times he gets caught in the game to where he forgets, and now TV timeout's 30 seconds in, and then Clement would be coming, Shane now's coming, and then it's like, oh, I'm sitting down for 20 seconds, TV timeout, back in.
Yeah.
Now you're still playing.
And you feel a little fresher. Does it?
A little, but maybe 2 more minutes would help, or a minute 30 to
I think he does that a lot. Now he did that a lot with Kalk last year. He does,
right. Yeah. And I think now he's going to have to start figuring out with Ash because no pop. Now, and now it's kind of like, okay, now I got to start mixing in.
But again, that's going to be Ty when Kenny gets up 8 in the game, say Wednesday night, we get up at 8 in the game. Okay, now I can sit Ash 3 or 4 minutes, then put him back
And
up.
even if it's not up 8, right? Like, it could be a close game. I think he trusts Shane. I think a lot of people trust Shane.
Well, you got Shane too. Yeah, so he's got 2 guys actually.
You got Shane, you got Ty, who can more or less operate from the point guard level, and then be able to still take care of the ball.
The other thing too is you got all those 4s, so now he can slide. He can put Shane in there. He can slide. Jemiah's already at the 2. He can slide Mason to the 3, or even like we're talking about Jackson for a minute or 2. Trout in there. Now you got them all in there, and then the next time out you can switch it around again. And now pretty soon you're giving Ash
those 2 in, and maybe bringing Ash in at the 2, and then allowing him to now.
Then you're giving Ash 4 minutes plus putting him off the ball for a little bit. Yeah,
I would like to see that.
All right, here's a great question from BJ's again. How much does Fedor change this team? I really know nothing about him. Okay, let me start with that. I don't know if he changes the team. Because I got to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you. And look, I'm not there every day, but I'm there a fair amount of the time. When I've been there, the one thing that kind of, I want to say this jumps out at me is he's been hurt so much since the last month. So he's had 2 bad ankle deals. So that's kind of set him back. Okay. But I've been kind of like, he's not dead 3-point shooter like I thought maybe he was when I saw like his videos when he's over in Europe, right? So that's one thing. I think what you get though, number 1 overall though, forget how he shoots it, whatever. We just need another guy for depth. Like we're just talking about. If we have Fedor now, you can give Jemiah a longer blow because you can put him at the 2. You can move Jemiah back over to the 3, play Fedor over there. There's so much more you can do.
I honestly think it changes a lot. Not even just from, play level. I think it comes from confidence, right? I think you could feel Fedor's confidence just being next to him, and I think he does something different for the guys as well. Being that individual that's kind of play at these high levels already.
Yeah, that's
I think
probably
he already
a good
comes
point.
with his confidence too. That's allowing these guys to actually believe in themselves, right? That too is like, hey, I'm this type of shooter. I'm this lockdown defender. I'm, this rim defender, whatever it is. That I think that's something that he brings even when he's not hitting the shots. He's gonna too. I think he's a guy that's just talking. Whether it's talking trash, whether it's getting, his teammates involved, I think he's kind of some of that guy too. That I think it's just some of that layer that is missing right now.
I'll say this, along with what I said. Okay, so number 2, though, he's big. He's a much bigger guy than I thought.
Yeah.
He's 6'5", and he's a legit 6'5".
Yeah, he's stocky,
and
broad
he's
shoulders.
stocky, man.
Got some broad shoulders.
And number 3, I just said, there's a couple times where I've been, whoa. Like there was a step where the time he hurt his ankle, he did an unbelievable step back, side dribble, crossover move that gave him a wide open 3 and just put up the most beautiful rotating ball you've ever seen right through the net, then landed on the guy's ankle. But I mean, he does stuff like that. Like
he's an elite shooter. I will say he is an elite shooter, and even like when he's not making them, he's still. You can see how he's square. You can see how it's coming
just
off
like
his
the
hands.
fans.
You can see how the
if
ball's
the fans
rotating.
just went to games, they would go, Trout sucks at shooting the ball. Yeah, but if you went to practice, and the same with Fedor, Pop was a perfect example. Pop couldn't throw it in the ocean a lot of times at practice. Goes out there Purdue and goes 5 for 5 right off the game. I mean, he was just a gamer. And I think Fedor's been in these situations, and Jahens keeps telling me this. This league he played is so high level that
you could just tell.
So there are a lot of ways that he would help out. A lot of ways.
Yeah.
And not only that, just the other team all of a sudden. Now they got a game plan for another guy they don't know anything about.
Scout. That's a scout
They got to take time to worry about that guy instead of worrying about McAndrew or whoever. So
I think it's 12 to 15 though. On
all right. Wow, we've gone long, but we went long because you guys have had great questions. We thank you so much. Hit that subscribe button and like button. It helps us out so much. I want to get to a couple things. Next game is Georgetown. It's a 5:30 tip. Austin's going to be here with me. He's got some stuff going on, but he'll be able to watch most of the game, and I'll be here. Come on down to Let It Fly. Watch the game here at 5:30. Get off work. Come on down. It's on CBS Sportsnet, so I think that's our first game on CBS Sportsnet this year, I believe. And then Saturday, a week from today, is a home opener, 3 o'clock, Villanova, an afternoon game. So that'll be awesome. I know we're already having nightmares about Dixon. But he doesn't have the supporting cast this year, just so we know. We're not going to have a Bluejay Banter show on Monday, but I will try efforting a guy, if you've watched our show over there, Ron Bailey, runs a rival site at Georgetown. He is a hoot to talk to. I mean, if I get a hold of him, you've got to watch this with Ron. Okay. He is hilarious.
Okay.
Ron goes to press conferences, and I think it was... it might even been you. He was at a press conference, in Georgetown.
Okay.
And he goes, "Hey, Coach, number 1." And Matt goes, "Number 1 is Austin Chapman." He calls everybody by numbers. Like, he doesn't go, I noticed number 5 got out on the screen. And, he's just funny but he goes to a ton of, the cool thing about Ron is he covers a ton of AAU ball in the D.C. area, which is high level, obviously. Yeah. So he knows a lot of players, a lot of basketball. And
that's why he calls them by
I'm hoping to have him. If you do, just watch us on Twitter. I'll tweet out, if we have a get-together either tomorrow night or Monday. Okay, now, on to one other piece of news, and then we'll let you go. Volleyball tomorrow night, obviously, this is it. They've worked since last January to get to this point. We're one game away from that elusive Final Four that Booth has never been to.
Let's go, baby.
We got one more game. Penn State, we can beat this team. I'm telling you, we can beat this team. We dominated Texas. That score did not indicate how much we dominated that match. So, game 7:30 tomorrow night, ESPN. Whole country will be watching. This obviously this is a veteran team. I'm sure the booth will have them ready. So watch that. If they do make the Final Four, then we have planned to do a Final Four postgame show after the Final Four match which would be Thursday.
Nice.
In Louisville. Very well could be against Nebraska.
Yes.
Woo, baby.
Yeah. We need that back.
And then
we need that
we
back.
could knock off 2 things in about 4 days.
We need
Final
that.
Four and beat Nebraska.
We need that back.
How great would that be?
Yeah, we need that back.
So let's
I
not
love
get ahead of
Nebraska,
ourselves. We got a
but
tough
we need it
match
back.
tomorrow. Got to win that one. So make sure you're tuned in. All right. Awesome. This was awesome, man.
Pleasure. Yes, sir.
Thank you to all you people who listened and hit the chat. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. We will see you on Wednesday.